Hey, everybody, Professor Reed, a little update here for the summer course. We're chugging along. We got the job application packet done. Another quiz is posted. It's on active and passive voice. So I'll talk a little bit about that today. I posted some videos on that. We're working on the technical manual as well, which we'll go over the due dates for. One of the things to note, this is always a battle with these 7-week courses. It's so quick. In the summer, everybody's busy, including myself. So we're trying to keep up with stuff. I should be able to get all the job application packets graded this week at the latest. I'll have them done, maybe even over the weekend, I'll have them done. The final project website, I think I'm going to combine the final project website into just the overall grade for it. So rather than having the final project being worth 20 points, we'll up it to 35 points, and that'll basically work out with the percentages. In years past, I've done some websites. I've also done some almost like marketing brochures for a certain product, but this time I want to take away the website and just make it the final project. So what we'll do is I'll try to make a video for that. Unfortunately, it's gonna be a little bit speedy. As I've said before, try your best to keep up with the due dates, that sort of thing. That's going to be top priority, especially with the speed of the class. An abstract, we'll write an abstract for the final project. We'll keep that in place. I'll go over sort of what counts as the abstract. I have a video on that as well. I have a different YouTube page I use from other classes as well, and we'll go over what counts as an abstract. We'll talk about that, but just make a note that we have the quizzes. We basically have 4 quizzes, 10% of the grade. I'll get the job application packet added in. Discussion board, I'll probably add another discussion board this weekend just to sort of talk about the technical manual, and then we'll start on the technical manual overview, and that's what this lecture is about. Okay, and here's the due dates. So the instruction manual submission box, which is up on Canvas, June 11th, it's due. Remember, try not to be late with that. It's a certain percentage grade. And the quiz for active and passive voice is up. It's due June 4th. So it's a little quick turnaround with the quiz, but I think it's pretty straightforward. And there is a chance to do multiple submissions for that as well. So that gives you a little bit of flexibility with it. Now, the question of active versus passive voice is pretty important, especially in like a technical writing type of world. Whatever level of writing you're at, active and passive voice can be a little bit of struggle. But keep in mind, active voice is when basically the doer of the action, which in English we call the subject of the sentence, is at the beginning, sort of at the beginning of the sentence, and the receiver of the action, which we call the object. Now there's indirect and direct objects. That's going to be towards the end. So if you look at that first sentence that I have here about asbestos abatement teams, so we'll see that that's the actual subject of the sentence. So it goes at the beginning. And you can see the flow of this is a little bit more straightforward. We got the doer of the action, we have the action, which is going to be the verb, and then we have the receiver of the action towards the end of the sentence there as well. And following those, we're going to have prepositional phrases. Now, in the next sentence right below it, you have the passive voice construction, and you can see the asbestos abatement teams, which is the doer of the action, occurs at the end of the sentence. And in English, we call that the passive voice construction. Now, you're going to see a lot of instructors sort of tell you that it's incorrect to use a passive voice or an active voice. Or if you take like an 015 class, you're going to see a lot of times that like when you write a pretty standard essay, that they're going to want you to make sure you have it in the active voice. And if you use Grammarly for some of the assignments, you'll see that Grammarly will actually catch active versus passive voice. Now, the thing is, as you write manuals in the more technical writing side, if anybody has aspirations to go into a legal type of career, you're going to be using the passive voice. And the passive voice is going to sort of bury the subject or have the subject at the end. And it can get a little bit convoluted. So a lot of times when students paraphrase information, they'll switch from active and passive voice, and it will sort of switch up the sort of context of the sentence. And also keep in mind, passive voice construction, if you link those together, sometimes you can sort of lose the momentum of what you're actually talking about. So it's a really fascinating type of thing. You know, I read a lot of PhD, master's type of writing, and a lot of the times they're trying to be very neutral about a subject matter. They'll use the passive construction, and if they're trying to make an argument towards the end of that big long paper, they'll use the actives because it sounds a little bit more opinionated. Okay, so keep that in mind. And just another setup here. So the active voice, although we have at each concert, which is going to be the prepositional phrase to indicate, you know, a certain location of something, the soprano sang, and then we have at least one tune from a well-known opera. We'll have the receiver of the action there, a little bit more simplistic type of sentence. But in the passive construction, you can see we have to add in some additional words as well, because we have to add in, you know, different parts of speech, for example, by the soprano. We have to add that in there, and we have to also add in an additional was in there to keep it, you know, still logical, still making sense in the sentence. So a lot of times with the passive voice construction, it can get a little bit convoluted, but it can also extend the sentence. Now, I would say in technical writing, you want to be sort of aware of that as you construct, you know, the different, you know, like different items that we're working on. But you know, they also say in a job interview, you want to stay in the active voice as you go through a job interview, just to sound like you're a little bit more authoritative. So sort of take that for what it's worth. Okay. Now also, some of the hints for the active and passive voice. Remember, the subject performs the action in the active voice, and in the passive construction, the subject receives the action. Okay, if that makes sense. And then the sentences in the active voice will be less wordy, as we just said. In the passive voice, we'll have less, we'll use actually some excessive words, you know, to sort of make the point. And oftentimes words or phrases may be deleted or added, changing from one form to the other, as we sort of looked at in the examples there. So active voice is you know, majority of the time you want to have it. It shows opinion, but I would say be judicious about it as you use it, because sometimes you don't want to be as opinionated, and it's just something in life you can sort of be aware of as well. So I posted some videos on it, a little quiz on it. Just take the quiz, but know that that's something that is pretty important for technical type of writing. Okay, now let's go to the assignment, which is posted up on Canvas. It's the instruction manual. So it's a, you know, it's a single spaced document design, and really for this, it's the chance to sort of break out of the mold of APA, MLA type of formatting. I don't need to see that for this assignment per se. You know, it's something you can use footnotes for. And what I'll do is I'll post some examples. I found some examples from previous classes, and I put some screenshots in there here as well. But what I'll do is I'll add the, you know, I'll add some examples to look at, and it's pretty cool to see what students can choose. So you want to try to make a technical device or procedure, explain it in your field, and you want to try to keep it 1,000 words. So keep this relatively short, and you want to try to get something, you know, as I said, in your major, and try to make it dynamic. You want to try to imagine the audience being somebody that would be an end user, or somebody that would maybe sort of new to the you know, usage of something. And we'll look at an example where somebody may want for Instacart, and it's and I took a screenshot of it, but you'll see when you look at the final product that they did a really good job of like how to navigate the app, and how to some of the terminology that would be used for the app. So really well done. Now, sometimes students will use a little bit more of some you know, drawings or some sort of like visual for it as well. That's something you can add in. So do your best to sort of look at the examples, but no, 1,000 words, single space, and try to make that design dynamic. Please don't be worried about APA, MLA type of formatting as well. It's a chance to be a little bit, you know, a little bit more creative in terms of the design format. And I'll try to post a couple of these. I have two, and I'll get a few more. And then make sure it's got a title to it. Informed content. You're trying to walk us through something. Add some visuals, diagrams, icons, or illustrations, but don't get too worried about that or carried away with that. You're trying to look for something, you know, with the detail, the technicality. Try to make it a logical, ordered steps for it. Note some of the safety hazards, or some of the common pitfalls. It's a little different with like an app, you know, like a computer app, or a gosh, how old am I? A cell phone app or something like that. It's a little bit different than actually making something. I'll post one. Student made one about changing oil for a vehicle, and it was really well done. But that can have all sorts of implications to it. And then have some the sections, the headings, and if you want, you can put like an appendices or some footnotes for it. Okay, so you want to have an introduction. And you can see the assessment criteria, sort of the visual. This is the rubric for it, and then make sure it's readable. Check for those. We don't want to have typos. Try to focus on the active and passive voice as you do that, and then you want to have some design visuals in there. It's 25%. Make sure you have an introduction. Make sure you have the instructions, and these are all options for you. The steps in the process. What are some common pitfalls? You can add that in there. Frequently asked questions. You can add that in there. And then you want to go into detail about it. Okay, so that's the assignment. And remember, the due date for that is I had in the last file. I want to say it's June 11th. I don't want to get that confused. But you want to upload this to Canvas, and please try not to be late for it. But you can choose any product that you want. It's actually really cool to see some of these different products. And I had this is a little bit harder to see, but I had a student who was biology major, and this was from the summer course, and she did a really good job on how to collect data on, sort of an ornithological, I hope I said that right, ornithological overview on bluebirds. And this is really fascinating because I have had a few students who have been pretty intense bird watchers, and it's something that I find pretty fascinating. So the student just went through in a very logical way and just talked about how to identify the bluebirds. I didn't, that's a very specific, I guess breed of birds that they talked about, but it was very logical, ordered. Now maybe a little bit more on the diagrams. I think for this one, it's one of the things that like she lost a couple points for. But if you go here, you'll see it was very logical, and there were different columns that went along with it as well. So just keep in mind, like sort of make this, keep the end user in mind. Think about what are some of those pitfalls, and something like bird watching and collecting data. You want to make this something specific in your major. Some students have also told me that as they move forward, they can sort of use these. So that's a huge helpful thing as well. So let me also show you another one. Here's one on how to use Instacart, and what I'll do is I'll post a few of these. I'll try to get at least 4 and post them, but in the video, I actually just wanted to make a little recording about it. And this is for Wegmans. Oh my gosh, I shop at Wegmans. It's amazing how the Instacart there is you can see it all the time. It's changing the sort of the personality of the shopping experience is really amazing. So they talk about words or phrases to know, and I think that sort of counts in that frequently asked questions type of idea. Now, the cool thing is in the class, this was online, but a lot of students said that they had done Instacart and talked about some of the pitfalls for it. So this is a really good one. They didn't make it about creating the app. They made it about how to use Instacart, and they use words or phrases, and they did a really good job, how to gather material step to step, and they put in a lot of different visuals in here that were screenshots of the application. So if you've ever done something like Instacart, it's, this is sort of a perfect choice because we don't want to make these too complicated. Obviously, go with something that's going to be in your wheelhouse, something you're familiar with, but take a look at some of the examples, and I hope that's helpful. So please just keep in mind, I'm going to try to grade the job applications, get those in. The technical manual is going to be due very soon. I want to say it's the 11th. Just double check that. We got the quiz on active and passive voice. Make sure you get that done. Email me if you need anything. Hang in there. And so hopefully this is helpful. And then what I'll do is I'll post the other examples. I'll maybe put them as an announcement in there. I'll download a few of them, and hopefully that will help you out. Okay, email me if you need anything, and talk to you soon.